Hey everybody. So if you're anything like me, and if you are, I'm sorry, it doesn't really get any better with age, but you learn to live with it. But anyway, if you're anything like me, you probably got a bunch of these floating around. These are tool batteries. This one has one 18650 in it. I've got two different things. These power a set of noise canceling headphones and a little small drill driver. This is a 7.2 volt with two 18650 batteries. This is for my very old, actually made in Japan Makita drill that I still use from time to time. This one has three 18650s in it. It is for my Hitachi 10.8 volt little 1/4 inch impact tool, which I really like a lot. And these bigger ones are 18 volt rigid batteries for my my rigid drill driver, which I have used the living snot out of. One of the problems with these batteries is, of course, is they only last a certain number of recharges, and then the cells go bad. Sometimes it's only one cell, sometimes they're all on the verge of going bad. But the problem is you go down to the local Home Depot, assuming you can even find one of these, it's an $80 battery. You get on eBay and you can find ones that say rigid on them. They're probably not. They're probably fakes. And they're 35 bucks each, and they will probably have half of the actual milliamp hours that the original has. And you can go to China and you can buy 4 of them for 40 bucks, and they probably don't even have half. Not all the Chinese companies do that. Some of them actually believe in telling the truth about the milliamp hour of their batteries. But when you see an 18650 battery and it claims to have 9,999 milliamp hours, you can pretty much assume it's a tenth that. And I wish they'd stop that, because that isn't good for them or for the people they sell to. But that's a story for another time. And before any of you say it, I bought my rigid as a refurb. I think I paid 79 bucks for the tool, 2 batteries, and the charging station, and the bag it all came in, which was a smoking deal. This was probably, gosh, I don't know, at least 6-7 years ago. So the batteries are not part of their lifetime warranty. Everything is marked with the refurb, stamped with the refurb mark on it. So the batteries are up to me to deal with. And as you can see, this one I got for the Makita, it's one of the Chinese specials, which wasn't very good on the day I got it when it was brand new. So those are the options you have. Either buy an extremely expensive original manufacturer's battery, if you can still find one, which you even can't for this one. Even these little V4 batteries are getting hard to find. I'm not even sure if that's possible to get that apart without destroying it, but I may have to find out soon. Or you can buy a clone or a copy, and you can just live with the fact that it doesn't have anywhere near the milliamp hours that the original had. Or you can attempt to replace the cells in it, and that's what I've been wanting to do for quite some time. I've bought several of the little spot welders. You can try soldering them. You're not supposed to heat a lithium battery up enough to solder it. I know people who do it and say they think it's fine. I've known others who've done it and who've wrecked the battery. I don't know. I don't even want to try it. Spot welding it is the way to go. Now, I've had several of the little, the ones from AliExpress. You've seen them all over YouTube. The little red circuit board with the LED panel on it. And you hook it to a lithium-ion battery, like from an RC plane, and I'm exposed to spot weld. I've had 3 of them. None of them have really worked well or for long. The first one didn't work at all. Just wouldn't do anything, despite trying numerous batteries. And I've got a box full of good lithium-ion batteries in the range they call for. I sent that one back. They sent me another one. That one worked for about 10 spot welds and blew one of the MOSFETs. I replaced the MOSFETs. It welded 4 or 5 more times and blew one of the others. It went into a box of garbage, or I gave it to somebody, I can't remember what. And I got another one, and it never produced enough power, even with a battery well above the specs they called for. So I decided to go in a different direction. I decided to get one of these. Oh, I also just want to mention I got 10 Mollicell P26A, I think they're 2600 milliamp hour batteries from the 650 battery store, who I highly recommend, by the way. I do not know them from Adam, but my wife and I have purchased from them multiple times. She does a lot of vaping and stuff, so she goes through 18650s like candy. And I bought these, I found these on sale for $3.50 each and bought 10 of them. So I'm looking forward to using those. And then the subject of today's video, I bought this little spot welder. This is not an open circuit board that you have to put a battery in like the other ones. This one is all self-contained. I think I paid about 38, 39 bucks for it. Plus tax, of course, since my state charges tax on internet sales. It comes with a little bit of nickel wire, and I've got another roll someplace that I was using. It comes with a USB charging cable. It comes with the little welding pins, and it comes with the unit itself. Now, I have not disassembled this, and I'm not going to disassemble it because I'd like to get some use out of it before I wreck it, if you know what I'm saying. This is the BIFRC DH20 Pro, and I will put a link below. I bought this from AliExpress. Whether it's still available there or not, I have no idea, but I'll leave a link to both AliExpress and Amazon. They will be, I don't know if the one from Ali will be an affiliate link or not, but the one from Amazon will be, just to let you guys know. So my goal today is to tell you what this can do, and this comes with, I thought it had a little instruction sheet that was mostly Chinglish, which I probably threw away. But if I remember right, this has 9 different temperature ranges. And it's not so much a temperature range, it's the number of milliseconds that it zaps the weld with. And I've done a little bit of experimentation with it, but not that much. You turn it on, you hold that down to turn it on, it turns on, and then you press that again, and you can see the lights on it. You press that again, that's power level 1, which is the lowest power. Then you press it again and it comes to power level 2. Can you see the lights on it? Then power level 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, and then back to power level 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, I've got a couple of old 18650s that really aren't good for much of anything except in junk flashlights, and I'm going to see if we can't get this thing set up and working. So I'm going to set up a little test block here so I don't set anything on fire or melt anything I don't want to, and we'll test this thing and see how well it works. Seems like a nice build quality, although it does rattle around a bit, not sure why, but it's got a nice aluminum case and a screw construction, and you can charge it. It also has a USB 5-volt out. Not sure what you'd do with that unless you can use it to charge your phone. I don't know why I would want to do that, but I guess you can if you want. Anyway, let me get set up and let's test this thing and see how it works. Okay, so I think I'm set up and ready here, and just for full disclosure, this is the second take I've tried of this video. The first take, I really sucked at it. I mean, a couple of times I'd get good spot welds, and then another time I'd get awful ones, and I was certain it was me, and the more I played and practiced with it, the better I got. So hopefully this time I'll be able to do better. Instead of trying to use batteries like these, that while aren't good for really high drain things anymore, they still run flashlights fine. Instead of taking a chance and ruining them, and I would have, I decided to go ahead and take one of those rigid batteries apart, took all 5 batteries out of it, and they are completely discharged. And when you guys do this, your batteries need to be discharged. I know that sucks, but do yourself a favor, make sure they're discharged. These are totally discharged. They're in the hundredths of a volt in any of them, and they will not charge. Battery chargers just pretend they don't even exist. And I also printed this out this time to help me hold the batteries in a position which will make it a little easier. And you can see where I've been where I've been testing and then sanding them down. The blue wraps, these are old Samsung batteries. The old wraps I've actually accidentally hit with the belt sander. So I think I'm ready to go. I have recharged this again to get it all the way back up. Let's turn it on. You turn it on by pressing and holding the power button. It tells you the battery level over here, and you should see we have 4 little dots of battery level, and we're on power level 1 here. Now, one thing I discovered with this is you have to be very careful the angle with these little pen probes. You have to be careful of the angle you go down at and how hard you press. You have to be consistent, and you have to do it correctly for the power level you're on. The more contact area that you have between the pen, the nickel strip, and the battery, the more power you're going to have to get a weld. The smaller the area, and by smaller I mean instead of being point, these have flat points, instead of being point straight down, you're out like that, so you have a small contact area, and the least amount of pressure you can get away with pushing down, because the harder you push down, again, you're going to increase the contact area, which is going to require more power. It takes some practice. Don't expect it to happen all at once. If it does, great. It didn't for me. And I used to work in the metal trades, and I was a welder for many years. Now, the spot welders we had back in those days looked like a medieval torture device, and they were big enough for a human to fit in, and I never even used those very much. So I have two different nickel strips. They're both 8 millimeters wide. The roll that came with it, and I got my calipers here, let's zero them out. The roll that came with it was 0.10, and that's what the manufacturer of the spot welder recommends. And here they are, they read 0.11, and then I bought some strips of 8 millimeter wide 1.5, just because that's what I had recommended to me. And these read, they were reading 1.5 earlier, now they're reading 1.4. Such is life, right? So anyway, I got this charged back up. Let's put the pens in it. And again, if I didn't mention it in my earlier video, nobody approached me to review this. I bought it with my own money because I'm just got a hard on about going out and buying $80 batteries. So I am going to start with the thinner of the 2 strips. And since I've tested this and I think I've got a little bit of practice in, I'm going to start at power level 1, even though I have yet to get a really, really good weld at power level 1, even though I know it will. And we are set to power level 1. And one thing I'm going to try and do, one of the reasons the previous video sucked, besides the fact I couldn't get a decent weld, was that I constantly was getting my hands in the way so you couldn't see what was happening. So I'm going to zoom down a little bit. Excuse me shaking while I reach up and feel for the zoom button on the camera. I'm going to zoom down a little bit, and I'm going to try and get this so you can actually see it without getting my hands in the way. So power level 1, go in at about a 45-degree angle. Don't push down any harder than you need to flatten the material. And there we have a weld. Hope that got on camera, and let's kind of take a look and see how it is. Well, it's pretty darn solid for power level 1. That's pretty impressive. Remember, this is the thinner of the 2 materials. Let's try another one. And now I've got it all kind of twisted up, but nonetheless, let's try it again. And these leads are really short. I think I'm going to wind up making a thing for this, like for the batteries, kind of like a foot that holds it upright. But let's try it again, except on the other side. And if I didn't get it in the camera before, maybe I'll be able to do it this time. And again, at about a 45-degree angle, and only hard enough to push the material flat. And there we go. Again, power level 1. Pretty darn good for this thin material. I was not expecting to get that good of a weld on power level 1. Let's go up to power level 2 for sport and amusement. Again, and the fact that it puts that decent a weld at power level 1 bodes pretty well for thicker materials and harder things to weld. Let's go up to 2. You know what? Let's go all the way up to 3. And this has 9 different power levels. And I don't think, as I may have said earlier, this isn't, the higher levels aren't more heat, and they're not, I don't think they're more power. I think it's a longer millisecond of weld. The weld just happens longer. So I'm going to kind of try and flatten that back. I'm not going to get it perfect, but let's get it close as we can. And let's do it again. So 45-degree angle and just enough pressure to push the material flat, no more. And yeah, that thing really needs a stabilizer foot on it. Thank God I have a 3D printer, right? Let's do this again. And there we go. That's power level 3. And again, that's pretty darn solid. So let's go ahead and do the rest of it across. I don't have do I have enough to do all 5 batteries? Yeah, kind of, sort of. Why not? Let's do it. And I don't know that I'd go higher than power level 3. If you're having to go much higher than power level 4 or 5 with this, you're either pushing down too hard or you're trying to go in too straight down and you're getting too large of a contact area. I'm just going to put 2 on this last piece. Remember, a light hand is better than a heavy hand, and I'm bloody heavy-handed. There we go. There's the last one, or as good as I'm going to get. So you can roughhouse these pretty well. Let's go ahead and let's tear them off, and let's see what happens when we actually tear them off. That actually tore. Will it focus? Will you focus? Yes, it will. That actually tore the nickel strip rather than the weld came loose, and that's what we're looking for. Let's do it again. Again, tore it. Can you see that? I tore it directly out. And again, and the same thing again, it's actually tearing the nickel strip before the weld gives loose. And that is what we want. That is absolutely what we're looking for. And I already cut myself once on this crap because it is thin. Let me grab my snip so I can roll that up off of there. And you can see again, it's tearing the nickel out before the weld gives way, which is exactly what we're looking for. But again, as I have said, this takes a little bit of practice. It doesn't take as much practice as stick welding took for me in the beginning, or even worse, gas welding. But it does take some practice. So let's try again, except this time let's try that thicker strip, and let's go to the positive side of the battery. So far I'm impressed. Boy, I was really disappointed with my first test because I wasn't doing well at all. But I convinced myself that it was my fault and not the welder, and I kept trying different things, more pressure, less pressure, different angles, that kind of stuff, until I finally started getting good luck with it, and then I was burning holes in stuff. So I went way down in power. I was all the way up to the maximum amount of power trying to get a good weld with too much pressure and too much contact area. And then I finally, when I figured it all out, I was starting to burn holes in stuff. And I still, even after those welds, I still have four, can you see it? You might not be able to see it, but I still have 4 red dots of battery power. So the battery hasn't dropped at all doing those, was it those 10 welds, or 10, 2, 4, no, actually more than that. It was 16, it was 18 welds. So let's go again. This is the thicker strip. I'm going to stay on, you know what, let's bump the power level up from 3, 4, let's go to the halfway point, which would be 5. And this is the 0.15 nickel strip. So again, I want to get at an angle 45 degrees, and I want to use just enough pressure to hold the material down. And there we go. And let's do it again. And there's a split-second delay. Ouch, that was hot. There's a split-second delay between when the tips make contact and when it lets go, and that gives you more than enough time to get your pressure down. And yeah, that's on there good. So if you're interested in doing your own battery packs and you don't want to go through the, and I don't know what the word I want to use is, there's a couple guys on the internet that are doing repairs and upgrades and fixes to those little red spot welders that require the RC battery. But if you don't already have the RC battery, by the time you buy the battery and the little circuit board with the LCD panel, you're into it for more than this cost. So here we go again, and I'm going to go all the way across with them. Let's try and get it lined up. Every time I do it, it moves. I actually think I might try and print something to kind of hold things in alignment this way. Doesn't want to work, no, it doesn't want to play well with me. How about if we do the end one first? And that'll keep it lined up. So let's do that. There we go. Now it can't come out of alignment. So let's go down and do them all. There we go. Whoops. I like the little audible cues it gives you when it works. Okay, so that is completely welded down the positive side. Oh, the leads have gotten pretty warm. They're not hot yet, but they're pretty warm. And what's my battery power looking like? I still show 4 red dots of battery power. So let's get those out of there and let's see how good they are. They're coming off on me, but and it tore some of the nickel out coming off. So yeah, you can see. Can you see it tore? It'll focus. It tore some of the nickel out of the weld before it came off. Same with the others. That was on there pretty good. So we'll go ahead and rip that one out, and you can see that one, it ripped completely out. Come on, camera, focus for me. Focus you! No, I'm not going to do that. That's somebody else's thing. Anyway, power level 5 at the halfway mark of this, spot welded those on really well. So there you have it. I actually think this works pretty well. Let me zoom back out here real quick. And let's unplug those so I don't have any nasty little accidents. And I am going to power this off. And to power it off, you just hold the button in until it starts making noises. And there we go, it is off. So there you have it. That was what, 18, 20 welds, 18 plus 20 welds, and it's still at full battery power. Once you get the hang of it, it works really, really well. It is a fully self-contained unit. You don't have to have an outside battery for it. How many welds it will do before you need to recharge it, I don't actually know. Certainly it welded fine for, certainly I think you could probably do, from my practice and playing with it, I think you could probably do at least 4 or 5 of these battery packs before you'd really want to sit down. You know, the 5 battery packs for 18 volts, and that's for 20 volts too, because the whole 20 volt thing is a lie. They're 18 volts. They're just fudging how they tell you things. Chinese aren't the only ones that do that. we do it too. So, of course, all tools are made in China now, so unless you're lucky enough to get a real Japanese Makita. But anyway, I think this works really well. Again, this is the BIFRC DH20 Pro. I will put links to it below. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm going to rebuild my own battery packs, and I'm going to stick it to the man. Sure I am. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Please use my affiliate links, because the one for Amazon, if there is one, will certainly be one. Don't know about if I put one to Ali or not. I know I have an affiliate program with them. I haven't really been using it. But anyway, my next series of videos, I believe, is going to be the beginning of my summertime UV heat filament test. So stick around for that, and I'll catch you guys the next time. Bye for now.